Good morning and welcome to our Veterans Day ceremony. My name is Burton Wise and I'm Senior Director of Driver Personnel and a board member for our Veterans Employee Resource Group, also known as the VERG. I'd like to thank our honored guests today, our Gold Starred families, our executive leadership, and our employees for all your grateful support. This year marks the second year in a row that J.B. Hunt was selected to host the Traveling Arkansas Run for the Fallen during the week of Veterans Day. While Veterans Day is a celebration of all those who have served and who are serving, this is a day to remember those who have fallen, and that is always near to our hearts. Each of the flags on our west lawn in the memorial, all 145, represent a service member from Arkansas who has fallen since September 11th, 2001. The Arkansas Run Fallen leadership advised us recently that J.B. Hunt is welcome to have this memorial on an annual basis. Thank you. The memorial is open to the public, our employees, guests, and so please make time to come and show your respect for these brave heroes. It'll be up through Thursday of next week, the 15th, so please plan to schedule a visit. Now I'd like to welcome Michael Collins as he delivers today's invocation. Michael actively serves as chaplain for the 2nd Battalion, 142 Fires Artillery Brigade, and has been a lay minister over 30 years for the Northwest Arkansas area. Michael.
If you would, let's address our good God together. Dear God, Father of all, mighty creator of all the universe, not just the physical things we see and touch, but the creator of our very souls, of the intangibles that go along with it, that transcend the things that we can see, the science we cling to. Things like humility, bravery, love, and honor cannot be isolated in a lab, but only described by words that dimly reflect your character. We humbly thank you for the chance to celebrate this last century of Armistice Day, now called Veterans Day, and to clearly state that we owe it to you for choosing to grant us victory. As we were blessed to be a light in this world, a light of justice that seeks your good and the good of others, not merely selfish gain. It is only by your merits that we can cling to any pride in this statement. We thank you for putting these intangibles inside our veterans and service members, fueling them to fulfill their Romans 13 charge to strike fear into the heart of evildoers wherever they rise around the globe. We also lift up to you their families and their loved ones, and we pray for the strength of those who sacrifice so much in empowering them in this mission. They live out daily the intangibles of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And we're inspired that they have written a check, a blank check, to fulfill that purpose that is payable up to and including their very life. It is this ultimate willingness to sacrifice that reflects your character the most as we meditate on what you taught your disciples in John 15:13. That greater love has no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. Thank you, Father, that the American service member serves to fulfill this commission on our behalf. And we thank you yourself for providing the ultimate example to follow in your Son. It is in your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. Today's color guard is made up of J.B. Hunt employees who are currently serving or have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Also, our very own Philip Anton will sing our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of our national anthem.
Present arms.
Oh, say, Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Parade, rest.
Thank you, Philip. Veterans Day is observed annually on November 11th, and it coincides with other holidays, including Armistice Day and Remembrance Day, celebrated in countries that mark the anniversary of the end of World War I. Major hostilities of World War I were formally ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918, when the armistice with Germany went into effect. This year marks the 100th anniversary of that special day. Armistice Day became Veterans Day as a national holiday in 1954. Now please join me in welcoming Craig Harper, Chief Operations Officer and Executive Sponsor of our Veterans Employee Resource Group.
Thanks for coming out today. You know, it's a great honor to be able to show our respect and pay tribute to our veterans and also the fallen. In thinking of the fallen, when you walk out and look at these flags of the 145 men and women, I encourage you to take some ownership. You know, it will impact your life. Through my past few years, I've gotten to know some of these families, the Gold Star families that are here, and specifically the Browns. Larry and Janice are with us today. Learn about their son's story, Adam Brown. And it could change your life, and it can change the life of many others. And to tell you more about that, we have Adam's wife, Kelly Brown, here, who I've gotten to know through the years too. Great family. And Kelly, if you'll come to the podium, we'd love to hear some words from you.
Hello, everybody. Good cold morning for this. Anyway, my name is Kelly Brown, and I am just, first of all, I want to thank Craig, John, Shelley. Thank you so much for having me come speak and have Adam's family here, as well as the Gold Star families that are here with us today as well. It's a real honor. It means so much on Veterans Day. We get to talk about everybody that has formerly served in the past. We have the ones that are serving currently as we speak, and then we also have our future generation. This means so much on so many different levels. The beautiful flag display that we have from the Arkansas Run for the Fallen is such a reminder of the people that we have lost as well. Their intentions were to serve the country with their brave spirit and their never quit attitude, and that's something that they did. And unfortunately, we have lost several. On this Veterans Day, I would like to just remember a few while Adam and I served, or while he was in the military himself. Just while we were there, I just wanted to read off some names, and because it touches my heart to think about these men and women and the ones that I know and call friends and family for that matter, and to know that they did pay the ultimate sacrifice. So I'm just going to read a list of names, and they were there with us at the command, and just in the times we were there, they answered the call. Eduardo, Bill, Millie, Ryan, Brian Behringer, Shady, Dave, Nick, Kevin Ebert, Caleb Nelson, Ty, Glenn, Job Price, Jason Mortman, Craig, Aaron, JT, Heath, Rob, Matt, Rat, Nick, Matt Mason, Matt Mills, Lou, Jonas, Kevin, John Foss, Chris Campbell, Brian Bill, Jeremy Wise, Adam S., okay, Brendan, Colin Thomas, my husband Adam Brown, Dusty, Jason Freewald, Josh Harris, Louis Safront, Tommy Valentine, Ryan Job, Nate Hardy, Mike Cope, Jason Lewis, Axe, Danny, Jack, Jeff T, Groovy, Murph, Dave Thomas, Neil Roberts. I'll never forget when Adam checked in to the command in Virginia Beach, and it was in 2001 when we learned about Neil Roberts, and he was the first guy that we lost in Afghanistan on Roberts Ridge. Those guys that we honor every day, and it's times like this that we honor them, and obviously Memorial Day. But Veterans Day means so much more than that as well. It's about celebrating the years of service that so many have served, and so many have answered the call for our country. And that's something that I'm forever grateful for. And I know there's so many of you that I'm looking at and that are a part of this company, part of this amazing company that chooses to honor our veterans. And I'm so grateful to be amongst you guys. And my father-in-law served, my own father served, and I'm grateful for those people that did. As I reflect back on our life and the lives of our friends, what it means to be in the military is it's not an easy life by any means. And I was just kind of speaking over here. We were talking about where all we were stationed, and there's a lot of people that move around so much. Fortunately for Adam and I, it was just pretty, I was able to go to his boot camp and A school with him. So that took us to Chicago, and it was a lot colder than this, unbelievably. So I'm able to survive this, just I guess maybe from that. So we used to just chip the ice off our windows from inside the house because it would be so cold at times. But I got to go there with him and be a part of watching that training, and then go to San Diego. He was injured. He had been shot in the eye with a sim round at one point where he lost vision in his eye, to being rolled over in a Humvee accident and losing the working parts of his hand, of his right hand. And so he had to overcome a lot of obstacles with that. But seeing the drive that he had to not quit and to not give up, and he would tell me, I'm like Adam, it's time. Isn't it time to just call it quits? How about we just get out? Because I'm sure by the time you're 40, I'm going to be pushing you around in a wheelchair or something. And the last thing that the doctors were telling him was that he possibly could have to have his ankles fused together because of just all the injuries he'd suffered and how hard the military life had been on his body, because he was completely full throttle anywhere he went. And so, and I remember that comment, him telling us that, and Adam was like, I'm just not ready to get out. I'm not ready, and I don't feel ready. I don't feel like I'm ready until I've done something to leave a mark in this world that I can leave for my children. I want to make this world a better place for my kids to grow up in. And he just didn't feel like that job was complete, even though he'd given an eye, he'd given a couple of ankles, he'd given a back, he'd given a leg, and he'd given a hand. To him, that still wasn't good enough. His children and his nieces and his nephews, his parents, myself, he wanted to make sure that we were growing up in truly the land of the free, and protecting the freedoms that we all get to enjoy every single day that we're here, even now as we speak. The team he was from, there's never any break. You know, their deployment cycle is rigorous. When one team comes home, the next team is basically high-fiving them in the air, and they take their place. So there's, constant involvement, constant boots on the ground, so to speak. They never take a break. And it's hard on the families. I reflect on one of my best friends back home I just saw not too long ago. She's got 5 kids, and he's gone all the time. And I was up there for my birthday just a couple months ago, and my son called while we were at dinner, and he reached over to me, or he was asking me this question on the phone because some of our great friends, John and Sarah, and my son was worried because I told him, I said, well, John's not here with us right now, but because he wanted me to tell him hi. And so I looked over to Sarah, and Nathan just asked me, he said, Mom, is John safe? Is he home? Is he home? And I said, no, he's not home right now. And he said, well, will you ask her, is he going to be home? Is he going to be home? Is he safe? And so I had to look at my friend Sarah, and I'm like, okay, he's wanting to know, is he okay? Is he going to be home? Because I know that he doesn't want his friends to feel like he does. And he worries, at times for those friends of his. He has so many now that their dads aren't present anymore. And but Sarah looked at me and she said, you tell Nathan that he's made it home from over there, and he's just on training right now. He'll be back in just a couple weeks, but he's okay. He's okay. Tell Nathan not to worry. And so I heard a huge sigh of relief in his voice, and made him feel so much better to know that he completed his task and he's going to be home at least for a few more months, knowing that we're sending other friends off into harm's way. But without those men, and without you, our current serving military, our men and women that do that every day so selflessly, and the families that support them, I can't thank you enough for any support that you give any service member. It was an honor, a complete honor, to serve alongside my husband and so many friends that we lost. I remember them every day, and so do my children. And I have an extreme gratitude for anybody that's willing to put a uniform on for our country, to secure the safeties, to secure the values that this country holds so dear and so true to heart. Makes us Americans what we are so proud of. And I just want to thank you guys for your support, everybody's support, this company and what they're doing here today, and having all of you listen. I thank you for taking the time out to just be here and to be present, because it means so much to people that do serve, that nobody forgets, and it's always on your mind. And that means more to me than you'll ever know. And, to our current generation that's going to be coming up to serve, I hope we can instill that in them, how important that is. I try to tell my son and my daughter, who wants to join the military. She's already told me she wants to be a nurse and help those soldiers that get injured in battle. How important it is. How important it is to be part of such an amazing opportunity that we have here as Americans, and that is to sign up and serve and protect the freedoms that we have. And so on this Veterans Day, I just want to thank everybody that's currently serving. Thank you for the people that have served in the past. Thank you for everybody that has served and maybe lost a loved one. Thank you if you were there as their wife or their parents or if their sister or a brother. Thank you for your service, because it means the world. It truly does. And I'm just, on this Veterans Day, I'm thankful. I really am. I'm thankful and proud of my husband, and I'm thankful more than anything to be his wife. He left a legacy for my children that I cannot be more proud of. And I'm thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for just being here. And happy Veterans Day to all that are here.
Kelly, thank you for your courage and inspiring words. And on behalf of the VERG, we'd like to present you with a J.B. Hunt Challenge coin. It's my pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker, retired Colonel and Director of Government Services at J.B. Hunt, Tony Causton. Colonel Causton joined J.B. Hunt in 2018 as the Director of Government Services Defense, where he supports our federal government, the Department of Defense, and defense industry customers. In 2017, Tony retired from the U.S. Army as a colonel after a 27-year career on active duty in logistics, including 4 combat tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Middle East, and service in 4 different Army divisions, including the 1st Cavalry Division, the 101st Airborne Division, 10th Mountain Division, and 3rd Infantry Division. Tony has extensive experience in global logistics and transportation, and he commanded at the company, battalion, and brigade level. As a colonel, Tony commanded the 3rd Infantry Division Sustainment Brigade during combat, where he led over 3,500 soldiers dispersed across 9 countries in the Middle East, providing all logistics and transportation to 65,000 joint warfighters in CENTCOM. Tony also served in the Pentagon on the Joint Chief of Staff and as the Chief of Staff to the Chief Operations Officer at Army Materiel Command. Colonel Causton has a bachelor's in business administration from the University of Arkansas, a master's in information systems management from Webster University, a master's in military arts and sciences from the School of Advanced Military Studies, and a master's in national security resource strategy from the National Defense University. He and his wife Stephanie are both Arkansas alumni, and their 2 children are currently attending the University of Arkansas. Please welcome Colonel Tony Causton.
Well, thank you. If you've ever been at Fort Drum, New York, they'd call this a great spring morning. It's cold up there. I come from a long line of military service. My grandfather, my father, 2 uncles, myself, 2 nephews. We have 160 years of active duty between those 4 generations. And I grew up with a father who was fond of saying that we validate what we value with our presence. If it's important, you attend. And so it means a lot that you would take the time on this morning to come out and participate in this ceremony. So thank you very much. A special thanks to the entire VERG committee who put all this together. The behind-the-scenes work for something like this is extensive. Thank you, Chaplain Collins, the color guard, Philip Anton. You can sing, brother. That was impressive. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your story with Adam, with your life with Adam, and for your sacrifice as a Gold Star family, our other Gold Star family members that are here, and the 145 flags that are to my right, your left. I walked through and looked at those this morning. If you haven't, you need to. It's hard to speak with a lump in your throat. So it is cold outside, so I thought we would begin this morning the way I begin every morning the last 30 years with a little PT. So I need my demonstrator to post here. And unfortunately, Ed's not here, otherwise he would be. You got to turn to face the audience. Okay, so the first exercise, actually the only exercise, is going to be the overhead clapper. Position of attention, move. Start position, move. The overhead clapper. He's Marines. He throws in the eye. The overhead clapper is a 4-count exercise done at a moderate cadence. In cadence. In cadence. Exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Halt. The inflection you're supposed to halt. Marines and Army might do it different. Position of attention. Move. Recover. At ease. Good job. Okay, so everybody stand up. Wherever you are. Now we have to do this without smacking each other in the face and knocking glasses and hats off, all right? So it's okay if your form is not as good as Eric's, all right? But the first exercise will be the overhead clapper. Start position, move. In cadence, exercise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Halt. Very good. Position of attention, move. All right, take a seat. Good job. I should probably stop now that I've had a standing ovation officially this morning. So Eric asked me if I would speak a little bit about my thoughts about service and throw in a couple of war stories and about my transition here to J.B. Hunt, and I'm happy to do that because I do think that there are some parallels to service both in the military and here at J.B. Hunt. And the first is this. I enlisted right out of high school in Hot Springs, Arkansas, where I graduated, and I enlisted for one reason, to go to college, to make money to go to college. I wish it was patriotism and all the other things, but it wasn't. I came in the Army because it was the only way I was going to afford to go to college. But why you come in an organization is not always why you stay in an organization. In the military, we're fond of saying that you enlist a soldier, but you re-enlist a family. And so what we can do as veterans, as employees, to make our organizations the kind of organizations where people want to stay and serve is invaluable for retention. The second thing is that soldiers, in my case the Army, are the centerpiece of the Army. It's not about the equipment, it's not about the technology. It's very easy to be enamored by our sophisticated weapon systems. When I was at Fort Hood, Texas, we had two divisions then, 1st Cav Division, 4th Infantry Division, 7 armored brigades, 21 battalions, over 2,000 tanks and Bradleys and Paladins and all of that stuff. And we had a road called Motor Pool Mile, and you would literally bring foreign dignitaries and other militaries and you'd put them in a van and do a desk side brief and drive slow down that motor pool. Actually, it was several miles. And they would look out the corner of their eyes and you would see motor pool after motor pool after motor pool of tank and Bradley and howitzer. And it is daunting. It is overwhelming. It's intimidating for a purpose. But it's not about the equipment, the technology. It's all about the people. Excuse me. And I think that that's important to remember. In J.B. Hunt, I think it's all about our safe drivers. They're the centerpiece of our organization. They're the point of the spear like the soldier is for the Army. And there's no better advocate for the Army than a soldier. There's no better advocate for J.B. Hunt than our drivers. And I love to watch on LinkedIn and see the profiles of LaTanya or of Eddie, talking about Carrier 360. They can sell. I met Eddie briefly at GATS for about 5 minutes before we went up on Sirius XM for a town hall session with Road Dog Trucking. You spend 5 minutes with Eddie and you're sold. We ought to bring him here, I think, to the national sales team. He's outstanding. I love that Mr. Hunt was a vet. I love that we have a goal of hiring 10,000 vets by 2020. I love that we honor our drivers with a million-mile ceremony. Those kind of things are so important to an organization. And I think that our vets, both at J.B. Hunt and in Northwest Arkansas, they make great employees. They know how to be the go-to. They know how to create raving fans, and they know how to serve on a team, and I'm proud to serve among them. As Kelly mentioned, we did move a lot. We were comparing some stations. My wife and I have been married 28 years, and we've moved 17 times in 27 years on active duty. And we hit West Coast, Virginia, California, Texas, Kansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Germany, Even had 2 combat tours in the Pentagon in addition to the ones overseas in the Middle East. And I think I prefer the Middle East over the Pentagon. But I remember one time when my kids came home from school, they were in middle school. I came home early from work. We were hosting a party, and I had the sofa pushed away and was vacuuming under the couch, and my wife had the stove all torn apart, cleaning the grills and all that stuff. And my kids got off the bus, and my daughter walked in, and my son walked in, and they dropped their backpacks, and my daughter looked at me and said, "Dad, are we moving again?" Which is a little bit of an indictment on our housekeeping skills, I think. But vets do have a lot of experience dealing with different cultures, different communities, and different organizations, and they can bring that here to JB Hunt. I love that we tout how many different, I don't remember how many it is, but how many different languages we have of employees in JB Hunt. That's fantastic. We ought to continue to leverage that the way we do. I frequently get asked what my favorite duty assignment was out of all of those, and it's probably Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I saw some LSU hats back there. We loved living at Fort Polk, Louisiana, 364 days a year. And if you've never been to Fort Polk, it's flat, it's humid, it's the swamp. When you golf on the golf course, there are signs at the water hazards that say, "Beware of gators." And the mosquitoes are about the size of a quarter. It's pretty nasty. And in the Army, it kind of has a term, no offense, but it's called the armpit of the Army. And about 25% go there kicking and screaming, and 75% go there and stay forever because they're natives. I had Major Savoy, Scott Savoy was my operations officer when I was a battalion commander. Specialist Boudreaux is our legal clerk. Sergeant First Class Thibodeau. It's like a cast out of swamp people. And I loved it there. The food was good, the hunting and fishing was good, the people were good, the culture was good, the small town values, everything about Fort Polk we loved. So I served as a battalion commander there, and we deployed to Afghanistan. We were so you go from 5 foot above elevation, you dig a hole in your backyard and it fills with water, to we got off a plane in RC East in the mountains of Afghanistan, and base camp elevation is 8,500 feet. That's 3,000 miles higher than Mile High Stadium. It's like you're breathing through a soda straw. And it was a large area, 400 square miles. We'd put convoys on the road that would sometimes be 6 days for a sustainment comp, 3 days there and 3 days back because of routing and terrain. I had mechanics, I had truck drivers, we had supply personnel, medics. We had people at every place that we had anybody out of our 7,000 soldiers that we were sustaining. And about half of those were at high enough elevation they'd get snowed in for 2 or 3 months straight. So it's a complex problem, and it requires really creative solutions to go from Louisiana to Afghanistan like that. And your soldiers, your vets, your war fighters are good at solving complex problems with creative solutions. I think a soldier can fix anything in the world with a Leatherman and 100 mile an hour tape. Is that right, Sergeant Harden? I get a hooah from there. But the one day a year that we hated living in Louisiana, no offense, was tomorrow when LSU played Arkansas. It is hard to be a Razorback fan in Louisiana. And I remember in 2010, we were in Afghanistan, and we were trying to watch games 2:30 in the morning because of the time zone differences. We got a crummy little TV with lousy reception. We got 60 people crammed in a room that can hold about 30, and I'm the only Razorback fan. Everybody is an LSU fan. And if you remember that year, that was the Petrino era. We had Ryan Mallett as quarterback, Niall Davis as running back, Kobe Hamilton and Joe Adams as receivers. And we're watching this late in the fourth quarter. It was 4th and 3 on the 39, and we're driving, and it's neck and neck. It's down to the wire. And Mallett drops back, throw a pass, and lobs it up in the air, and Joe Adams is running a route against the Honey Badger, and the TV goes out. And the whole room, everybody's standing in there just, screaming and yelling, hooting. Comes back in, Joe Adams catches it, walks into the end zone for a touchdown. We win the game, and that place went crazy. They talked about my mama. They talked about my alma mater. They were saying things about State Arkansas that I won't repeat to anybody, and I was an incredibly unpopular person, and oh, Lord, it is hard to be humble when you're an Arkansas Razorback fan. And I stood up at one point. It got so bad, I said, "Hey, you guys know I'm in charge, right?" And leadership lesson, if you ever have to tell somebody that you're in charge, you're probably not. But the sun comes up the next morning, and everything is right again, and we're all friends, and we're a cohesive team and a cohesive unit, and they forgive me for the Razorbacks winning. And the takeaway, vets can put aside our differences, and like employees can, because we serve a higher purpose. You can put aside your alma mater, your religion, your politics, all of those things, because you serve a higher purpose. In the Army, we call that the Soldier Creed, and the opening paragraph of that says, "I'm an American soldier, I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States, and I live the Army values." Those Army values are the acronym leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. And I like that at J.B. Hunt we have values as well. They line our halls and they're etched in the glass of our conference rooms. People, innovation, technology, sustainability, innovation, value. And I like to belong to an organization that doesn't just have those, but they practice those and they live those. As I transitioned from the Army, all of your mentors will tell you it's a three-legged stool as you retire. You can get location, job satisfaction, or salary. Pick one. And if you're lucky, pick two. And for us, it was about picking location. As the great philosopher Dorothy said, there's no place like home. We came back home. And but it wasn't an easy transition, because y'all do know I work for Ed Harwell, right? So the conditions here were a little bit austere. I went from having an office the size of Shelley's to working in a cubicle, and I've had more elbow room in a fighting position than the cubicles. But that's okay, because vets, we can adapt to any of the conditions and circumstances and persevere and get the job done. But the normal retirement for most of my peers looks like this. You finish your last day of work in uniform on a Friday, you hang it up, and you come back Monday morning in a suit, and you're working for an organization where you're leveraging your credibility of service, you're leveraging your relationships, because you can get access to an audience to try to sell something. Because the military doesn't make anything, industry makes things. And I've been the gatekeeper for a lot of that and participated in a lot of that, enough that I kind of said, sometimes when we did that, I felt like those people were leaving and they felt a little dirty and they needed to take a shower, because they're trying to sell something that the Army doesn't want and the military doesn't need. And I committed that I wasn't going to do that. But our nation and our military do rely on industry, both in peacetime and in war. And working here at J.B. Hunt, I don't need to take a shower. I'm honored to deliver a service that our nation and our warfighters absolutely need, and I'm honored to work for a company whose values I agree with, and I'm honored to serve a customer that I absolutely love. So thank you all very much. Happy Veterans Day, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Tony. And on behalf of the VERG, we'd like to present you with the J.B. Hunt Challenge Coin. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's ceremony. We'd like to thank our honored guests, our leadership, our Gold Star members, all of you, our employees, those that helped put this event together, all your hard work. It's very much appreciated. VERG members and honored guests, please join us for lunch in the Auditorium B here right behind us. Thank you.